Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at a really tragic and, frankly, disturbing event. You guys sent this over to us, an article about a mass shooting that took place in Cleveland, Ohio. And this goes all the way back to March of 1933, so quite a while ago. We're going to be diving deep into this article, trying to figure out exactly what happened, all the key facts, important details, and, well, yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah. I think these kinds of historical events, they may seem like there's something new. They've been happening a lot lately. But these things have roots that go way back. And if we examine them, I think we can get a clearer picture of what leads to these tragedies. So yeah, I'm ready to dive in.
Absolutely. So, to give everyone listening a baseline, a foundation here, this happened on March 6th, 1933. In Cleveland, Ohio, a man named Herman Klink, who was 40 years old at the time, shot 11 people. He used a .22 caliber rifle, and these were loaded with expanding bullets. It's really awful. 6 people died, including Klink himself, and there were another 6 people who were injured.
Yeah, it's a grim detail that the expanding bullets, those are designed to fragment or flatten upon impact. They make a much larger wound channel and they just do a lot more damage than a standard bullet.
So let's take a look at what happened on that day. The article says that Klink, well, his actions started right after he read about a bank holiday in the newspaper. And then he went home, armed himself with this rifle. He lived on Whitman Avenue.
What's so interesting here is that a lot of what happened after that took place, it happened near this bank. It was the Lorraine Street Savings and Trust Company. But there's nothing in the article saying that Klink had any financial dealings with the bank. He wasn't a customer there, didn't have any accounts, no connection.
Right. It makes you wonder what was going on in his mind, if he didn't have a connection. But there is a detail in the article that says he was actually seen at the bank earlier that day, arguing with someone about some financial matter. So, maybe it was weighing on him, even though he didn't have a formal tie there. It's just so strange.
Yeah. And, thinking about that argument, it really begs the question, what really set him off? Was it the news of the bank holiday? Was that like the final straw? Or was it something deeper connected to this earlier financial dispute that he had? We can't know for sure from this article. There's something to consider.
So right after he left his house, he just started shooting people. It's really hard to read about. The first person he shot, he survived. Luckily, got hit in the shoulder. And then, well, a 52-year-old man, Louis Calais, he came out of his house, probably heard the commotion, wanted to see what was going on, and Klink shot and killed him.
It just shows you how random these things can be, how these acts of violence can just happen. People going about their normal lives. And then in a flash, everything changes.
And it gets even worse. He then shot and killed another man, Roy Neal. He was 43. After that, Klink moved toward West 38th Street, near St. Mary's Catholic School. That's where he came across a patrolman, Herman Pauler. He was directing traffic. And Klink shot him several times. The article says he was hit in the abdomen, groin, and legs. Patrolman Pauler, he died from his wounds.
That he targeted a law enforcement officer. That's a big deal. It could mean that things were escalating in Klink's mind. Maybe he was intentionally going after authority figures.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just didn't even care anymore.
It's just heartbreaking. 2 more people, Albert Marquise, who was 67, and Joseph Sapko, only 22, they tried to run away, get to safety. Klink shot them both in their abdomens. They later died at the hospital. The article even says he kept firing at people who were just trying to help those who were already injured. It's just unbelievable.
It really paints a picture of the chaos and terror. It wasn't just the initial shootings, but it was just this constant threat, endangering the entire community, even the people trying to do the right thing, trying to help.
They had to chase Klink for blocks, the police officers, even some armored residents, and then he started shooting at detectives who were closing in on him. Finally, a detective, Jay Cook, he shot and killed Klink on Lorraine Avenue. It finally ended there. But the damage was done.
I mean, yeah, the immediate danger was over. But I can't imagine what that community went through, trying to process such a horrific event.
The article lists the names of the victims, the people who died. Roy Neal, who was 43, Albert Marquis, who was 67, Patrolman Herman Pauler, who was 45, and Joseph Sapko, just 22 years old.
It's so important to remember these weren't just numbers. They were real people with lives and families and futures all taken away.
6 other people were injured. The article says they ranged in age from 11 to 45. I can't imagine what they went through, the physical and emotional scars.
Yeah. And it's not just them, it's the families, friends, the whole community. These events leave a mark, a sense of vulnerability.
So moving on to Herman Klink, the man who did this, the article gives us some background on him. He was born in 1893. And he died, like we said, on the day of the shooting, 1933, at 40 years old. But what's really striking is the information about his mental health.
That's really key here. The article says he had what they called back then persecutory delusions and dementia precox. What we understand today is schizophrenia. He thought the government was spying on him. That's classic paranoia, believing that people are out to get you, that they're trying to hurt you. And with the dementia precox, which is what they called schizophrenia back then, it's a clear sign that he was deeply troubled.
And it seems like there were warning signs. 8 months before the shooting, Klink, he was fired from his job. He was a woodworker. And his employer, he actually said he was worried that Klink was a danger to his coworkers.
But it's a big red flag. When mental illness goes untreated, it can manifest in ways that are scary. It must have
Yeah.
been a tough decision for his employer. But looking back, it's a sign that things were really bad.
The article also mentions that his neighbors, they thought his behavior was strange. And even his coworkers, they were worried too. But they didn't report anything to the authorities. They didn't try to get him any help.
Yeah. That was pretty common back then. I mean, people didn't really understand mental illness. There was a stigma,
Yeah.
and people just didn't want to get involved, even when it was clear someone was struggling.
And Klink, he was unemployed for months before the attack. I mean, that couldn't have helped his mental state. The isolation, the feeling that things were hopeless, and then, of course, the rifle he used, the expanding bullets.
Yeah.
This shows the potential for destruction.
It's a lot to process. But, taking a look at this event through the lens of this article, it's given us a lot to think about. This horrible tragedy in Cleveland, all those lives lost, and then learning about Herman Klink and his struggles. It's really heavy stuff.
It really is. It makes you think it was almost a century ago. And we know so much more about mental health now. So this is something for everyone listening to think about. How can we as a society learn from this? How can we prevent these kinds of tragedies from happening again? How can we recognize the signs? And what can we do to get people the help they need? It's a tough question, but it's one we have to keep asking.